I want you to think back for a second. This is important. What good movie was actually kind of ruined by poor marketing? Arguably, my favorite horror movie, The Thing, Edge of Tomorrow for sure, The Iron Giant, Galaxy Quest, and I might even put Blade Runner 2049 on that list. Well, today we have another one. Did you even know this movie was coming out? Yes, today we are talking about The Dog Stars. Hello and welcome to Film Peaks, where we investigate where film peaks or valleys. As usual, I'll keep this spoiler free, but I will include my score at the end. Some people view my score as a spoiler, as it is the quality throughout the film, so I'll chuck it in at the end. Anyway, let's dig in. So seriously, did you guys even know this movie was coming out? And listen, I did see some of the scores before going to see this movie, and those initial review scores, not the best. But for real, I don't think that it deserves this low of a score. If marketed correctly, or like at all, I think it would have performed way better. We'll get into this in a second, but first a couple tidbits. It is again directed by Ridley Scott, and at this point, I think you can tell he has a knack for sci-fi genre films. Given all the Alien entries into that franchise, these films have influenced pop culture now for like over 40 years. He brought us one of the biggest influences to cyberpunk with Blade Runner, and it's kind of a shame that he never did lean into cyberpunk after that film. But I think his last good film was The Last Duel. Napoleon, not very good. Gladiator 2, not very good. This, I think it's good. Does it stand with his greatest? Probably not, only because this is not the type of film that is going to influence pop culture or the world for multiple decades. But it is certainly not his Megalopolis. Pretty stacked cast here. Jacob Elordi, he plays as Hig, a mechanic that also knows how to fly planes. I think we are to assume that before everything happened, he was specifically an airplane mechanic, but he flies his plane to go on supply runs. That's about it. Second big film for him this year, by the way. First with Margot Robbie, now with Margaret Qualley. She plays Seema. She's basically just kind of a farmer's daughter and there for the love interest. Josh Brolin is Bangley, Hig's partner. The two of them have this survival outpost. The weird thing about this is they seem to constantly get those Fallout 4, your settlement is under attack events. And to round out the main crew is Guy Pearce as Pops. He's kind of very similar to Bangley, Josh Brolin's character, so it's kind of like having two of the same dudes around. I do have to briefly mention some of the other characters. Benedict Wong is in this movie as a Mennonite farmer. Now, personally, I grew up around Amish and Mennonite communities, so to see this dynamic was kind of interesting to me. Also, the dialogue has some very superfluous F-bombs. Really not warranted to have this many, and it kind of does come off as being a little bit edgy. Which is weird because the dialogue otherwise is really good. Like, they do have some good sequences of talking to each other, just not these parts. Alright, so Higgs lives with his dog Jasper, together with Bangley at this abandoned Colorado airport. It has persisted past this pandemic. We don't know many details about the pandemic, like no idea how many people lived or died, but it doesn't look good. Not exactly a new premise either, but like, who doesn't love to speculate about the end of the world? Which, by the way, all settings do look pretty fantastic here. You gotta give them credit for that. They have food, water, and a lot of guns. Also seemingly infinite amounts of fuel. And I think this is where the marketing starts to make it fall apart. We have this premise of people trying to survive after the collapse of civilization. But even in the trailer, it's kind of suggested to be more of like a action thriller type of deal. There are a few things going on. Higgs makes supply runs by flying wherever he needs to go to get whatever it is they need. There's still somehow gas in gas stations. There's still somehow medical supplies that haven't gone bad. Some food here and there. But I do need to call out the nice touches of whenever he goes places, there's like groups of these wild animals that'll kind of follow along with him for a little bit. And it's like the natural animals plus like wild dogs that have been left over. So it's like a nice mix of all these animals following him around. I don't know, I thought that was cool. There's still life in the city, just not much human. As he's flying around, he hears this mysterious signal, which gives him hope that there might be other settlements out there. And this really showcases the great dynamic between Higgs and Bangley. Josh Brolin is great here. He's a realist. Do not go outside the boundary of safety. Don't help others. Stick to the routine. Shoot first, ask questions later. Hig, on the other hand, is conflicted. Like, he wants to see what's out there. That's thing one. The second thing going on, I just feel like I have to mention because it is quite silly. Now, obviously, in this post-apocalyptic world, you're gonna have groups of raiders and whatnot, but what Ridley Scott has chosen here is straight out of Fallout. There's this group of what appears to be shirtless Mexicans running around with machetes, just kind of flowing through town after town, killing people and ransacking and whatnot. It's literally like a wave of ghouls just making their way through every area. That's thing two. But that's not the only Fallout influence here. I will not get into specifics, but there is some goofiness that is introduced that just completely changes the tone of the movie for a little bit. It's like we're kind of metaphorically watching Hig fly through the air when it's nice and peaceful and it's beautiful. And then he'll dip beneath the clouds for a little bit and it's storming for a little bit before he goes back up again. It's jarring. If you like the New Vegas, specifically goofiness, then I think you'll be all right with that here, but just be prepared to be like, okay, that's different. It's important to note that the transitions are not smooth here. I guess a guy surviving with his dog just wasn't enough. Gotta separate yourself from I Am Legend somehow, I guess. Most post-apocalyptic movies are obsessed with asking, how bad can things get? The Dog Stars is more interested in asking, can things even get better? And the third thing to talk about here is there are some heavy coincidences. He just so happens to land his plane in this field where he stumbles across a donkey that leads him to where we can advance the plot. Those people, I guess, couldn't hear the plane going down? I don't know. And another character just so happens to have been to a place where they are going in the past so that the people there now are like, oh, you're familiar with the area, so you must be trustworthy. But anyway, another thought is, why is it even called the Dog Stars in the first place? Well, there are some stars and they're shaped like a dog. Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky in the Canis Major constellation, the big dog. Now you also know why it's called Sirius Radio. So Sirius, Jasper, follows Orion the Hunter, Hig. So yeah, we have these like pretty serious themes with a pretty thick sprinkling of wackiness on top. Some beautiful landscapes. Again, seeing this interpretation of the end of the world is really fascinating. All the vegetation growing up, skyscrapers and all that kind of stuff. But all right, I'm about to show my score, so this is your warning if you consider my score to be a spoiler. Okay, so this is what I thought of the movie. You gotta do all these mental math antics these days, especially when it comes to RT scores, like why do critics hate it but audiences love it? That's what I aim to fix with Film Peaks. Let me know your scores on there and we can get this ball rolling. Again, I think this is just another really clear case of bad marketing. Most people thought it was an action thriller. I know I did at first. Cool premise, good performances, bad marketing. Based on these bad reviews that I was seeing, I did feel the need to go see it, and I'm glad I did. Better than what the reviews say. Not as good as Ridley Scott's previous works, but again, that's hard to top. Worth watching, but not necessarily a theater requirement. Anyways, what do you think? Is this a good post-apocalyptic movie? What is your favorite post-apocalyptic movie? What's your favorite Ridley Scott movie? Let me know in the comments below or on the Film Peaks app. It's free on iOS and on Android. Thank you so much for watching this far, and I'll see you at the top.